お時間になりましたので、セッションを開始させていただきます。このセッションは、日英同時通訳を行います。ここからのお時間は、基調講演、デリバリーからエアモビリティまで、ドローンがもたらすグローバル産業の変革です。ご登壇いただきますのは、ドローンインダストリーインサイツ CEO& ファウンダー、Key Wackwitz 様です。Please start, Mr. Wackwitz.
Thank you very much and welcome to this keynote. My name is Wackwitz, and first of all, I want to thank the team from Japan Drone for making this possible. I'm very grateful and very happy to be here. And in the last couple of days, I was able to get to know your country a little bit better, and I must say I'm very impressed. So there is a lot that Germany can learn from Japan in terms of friendliness, in terms of thoroughness, in terms of good food and social responsibility. So thanks again for having me. It's a great honor. Today I want to give you a very high-level overview about the commercial drone market, and in the end I have a bit of a deep dive for Japan prepared. So I hope this will be interesting for you. Again, my name is Wackwitz. We are a market research and consulting company based out of Hamburg, Germany. And our job is to qualify and to quantify the commercial drone market for people to make good decisions and to be sustainable and to be successful in this new and very quickly evolving market. We do this in various ways. So we help our clients with reports, market reports, and different other kinds of publications. And we do also a lot of on-demand market research for our clients. Now, when you look at the field of drones, you see that this is a very disruptive environment, a lot of opportunities ahead, and technology is the core enabler for these steps ahead. So improving something you've been doing already, only works to a certain point, and then you have to completely switch the paradigm, and this is what drones do. Drones are very helpful when it comes to the 3Ds, as we call it, jobs that are dirty, dull, or dangerous, and drones are a fantastic substitute for this, and not just help to make work faster, to be more cost efficient, but also to keep workers safe and to increase the result quality. Drones work, and they work very well. As you can see, drones give access to places that are hard to access or maybe even impossible to access, and they give you a very, very detailed view on the things that you want to, in this case, inspect. So this is a brief agenda for what I have prepared for you today. So first of all, I want to show you a little bit about the investment environment globally, not Japan specific, but this is global. So what we saw in the last year, in 2021, there were absolute record investments in the drone space, also in the passenger drone space, which is included here. We see almost $7 billion invested in commercial drone in the commercial drone industry. This is flying drones, not ground robots, and also not underwater robots. This is just flying drones, right? So, $7 billion invested. We saw a couple of companies going public, stock traded companies now. We saw 41 companies being acquired. So there's a lot happening here. So the market is consolidating on the one end, and on the other end, there's a lot of new startups coming up, evolving, maturing, and bringing their products to the market. So bottom line is, as you see maybe also in the conversations that you are having, the hype is over, but the trust is real. People see these are working products, these are scalable products, and they work. Now let's have a look at the overall market size. As you can see from last year, We're nearly doubling the market in the next 5 years at a compound annual growth rate of nearly 10%. So this is a very strongly growing market. The market consists of almost 23% hardware, roughly 4% software, and the majority, as you can see, are services. This does not just include flying the drone. Of course, it's the biggest part. But this also includes other services like training, maintenance, resellers, and so on. We have a lot of this in our market reports. If you're interested, have a look at our homepage. There's a lot of material going into much greater detail. Now let's have a look at how drones are being used. You saw this in my introductory slides. We made a table here, and on the left side you see the different industries the drones are being used in. As you can see, energy, construction, like the classical industries. And on the upper scale, we see different methods how drones are being used for mapping tasks, for inspection tasks, for delivery tasks, and so on. And what we did is we collected thousands of different applications around the world and made this matrix to show you where most of the applications, like how drones are being used, and where they are being used in what kind of vertical. So let's dive right in. As you can see, mapping, surveying, very construction heavy, very mining and insurance heavy. So construction, of course, you need a 3D model of your construction site so you can continue planning. You have near real-time data to feed your machines. Same for mining. And insurance is using mapping drones very excessively for underwriting processes and, of course, for claim management. I'm sorry, I promised to speak slower for the translators, so sorry. If we look at inspection, we see that the majority of inspection tasks happen in the energy industry. There's a lot of assets, wind turbines, we just saw them, but also refineries, pipelines, power cables, and so on. So there's a lot of assets that need frequent inspection, and there we find a lot of inspection tasks. Same for real estate and industrial plants, also big assets that need frequent inspection. Localization and detection is a mainly security-heavy topic. So if you have perimeter control, if you have large crowds or events, this would be your application. And if we look at delivery, we see most of it happening right now in the medical space, so which is super interesting. You saw a lot of use cases probably yourself, very prominent in Africa, but also in other regions where drones are supplying people with life-saving products. And what we see also is food retail and other industrial goods. Today, rather small, but very fast growing, as you saw with Walmart in the US or other companies that are now really scaling drone operation in that retail market. And last but not least, spraying and seeding, very important for streamlining the whole agriculture industry. It's always been a bit of a problem to access the agriculture market, but I think finally it is getting some traction and we see this field growing as well. Now, as you can see, there's a great diversity of platforms out there. There's so many configurations and drones have so many abilities, but mainly they are flying sensors, right? And what we also discovered is that this is slightly changing. We see more drones that are equipped also with non-optical sensors. So this could be used for non-destructive testing, could be used for air quality measurements, and so on. So there's a lot of non-optical sensors in the market, magnetometers, ground penetrating radars, a lot of those. But what we also see, and which is the strongest growing case here, is drones interacting with their environment. Sprayers, for example, dispensers, or actuators. There's an apple picking drone, there's drones that can interact with their environment. So they are finally becoming the flying robots that we were hoping for. Automation, very big topic. So allow me this analogy to a washing machine. On the right side, you see an automated base station. And this automated base station, or the job of it, is to make a drone fully automated, just like a washing machine is fully automated on the other side. So, but current limitations in terms of regulation stop people from scaling this. So what we need really is, so right now we are on the first level, on the visual line of sight, VLOS level. So we have a high human involvement. So this is basically like sitting in front of your washing machine and looking at it all the time, waiting for it to finish its program. So it would be great to leave the room, right? To go somewhere else, do something in the meantime. This would be the third one, VLOS on waypoints. So we have less human involvement, more automation. But the goal, of course, is to have this fully automated. You just press a button, the drone does its thing, it will return, upload the data, and you have everything you need. So this is the goal, but current regulatory limitations stop or hinder us from really scaling this. But everything that can be automated will be automated, so therefore the technology is ready. It's now waiting for regulatory approval. Speaking of regulation, VLOS is a certain radius that you can operate in, right? Basically, it means visual line of sight. So as far as you can see, you can fly your drone. Typically, it's like a 1 kilometer radius around you. Now, this limitation is not so bad when it comes to inspection of wind turbines or other assets like buildings and so on. But if you want to inspect long linear infrastructures like pipelines, railroads, streets, power lines, and so on, you need to fly beyond visual line of sight. You need to make this radius bigger. So there's a way called EVLOS, extended visual line of sight. So you have a visual observer standing somewhere, and you basically hand over the visual contact to him, and you are connected via phone or other devices. And this will make your radius a bit bigger. But we all, of course, want to fly beyond visual line of sight, very far away. This could be kilometers away, could be hundreds of kilometers, could be in another country, could be an offshore wind park, hundreds of kilometers outside the mainland. And this is where the interesting applications lie in. So some, like you see here, some real estate, movie production, hobby things are usually happening within your line of sight. But the really interesting cases are in the BVLOS area: drone delivery, search and rescue, remote asset inspection, and so on. Therefore, it's very important. But right now, we still have that regulatory roadblock in our way. And this roadblock, it takes time for this to move out of the way. So what can we do in the meantime? The lack of rules and standards is represented by the roadblock, yeah? So what we can do is find ways to scale visual line of sight operation today. We can try to fly more indoors. Drones are very good at it in the meantime, so you can do a lot of that. Underground mining, warehousing, drones flying and taking stocks. Or, which is a bit more effort, is work on a waiver-based BVLOS operation. So you fulfill all the criteria, you apply at the regulators for an exemption or a special permit. Again, a lot of work, but in many cases it allows you to fly beyond visual line of sight. Now, the interesting part. To give you a little bit of a idea of how the Japanese market compares to the global market. We have a survey running currently. It's called the Drone Industry Barometer. We do this for the 5th time now, and we have a lot of data collected to measure changes in the market year by year. So basically, we ask people what they do in the drone space. So on the left side, you see the global average, and on the right side, you see the Japanese specific answers. So as you can see, software development in Japan is not that big. Drone manufacturing is also something that other countries are doing more. But what you can see here is that Japan is really good when it comes to drone operation, when it comes to other drone services, when it comes to professional drone services. So it's a rather service-heavy industry here, which I think is very interesting, that drones are being used more. So that basically means that the market understood the value of drones. They're using drones because they make sense, right? Then we ask how much is being exported, and that was a bit of a surprise. So while the rest of the market is nearly exporting 30% of the goods that they produce, Japan is very Japan-specific. So there's not much export happening, which means you have a very strong national industry that serves your national service providers. Either it's drone as a service providers flying for money, or if it's companies that are using drones in-house. So that I think is really good, because in a connected world, you always have problems in terms of maintenance, in terms of, if you crash a drone and you need a replacement, it takes forever for it to arrive. So having these short distances in this national market, I think is very good. It's a sign of high strength, so to say, because it's very easy to communicate. You don't have any cultural changes. A ship being stuck in the Suez Canal won't stop your industry. So I think this is a really good sign. Most important market driving factors. So here we are asking a bit for the trends, like how do you feel, like what's happening? And as you can see on the left side, rulemaking authorities, the third from the bottom, is mentioned on a global level as the most important factor. Like this is the hurdle that I just mentioned earlier, right? So this is what people see as the main point to move on. Not so much in Japan. Drone associations apparently have a very important role in Japan, which I think is really good, because they represent their members to authorities, to other industries. So I think this is very good. You seem to have a really good network working here. We also see that, where is it? Oh, sorry, just lost my, the associations. Yeah, and not so much the organizations. So that was interesting. So in Europe, for example, we have a lot of working groups from EASA to further develop rules and standards, but they don't seem to really be that important here in Japan. Now we have one more. Which of these? Top priorities. Sorry, top priorities. I think it's also interesting. Like, where do you allocate your money and your resources to? What do you do? What are your next strategic moves? A few years back, marketing was by far the biggest one, because the drone market is a market that needs a lot of explanation. It needs a lot of teaching. It needs a lot of spreading the word and the knowledge that you have. Highly explanatory market. So marketing was on the forefront, and you see globally it still is, in Japan also. But what you also see, that it moved away from product development more to staff development. And that's interesting, because a few years back, product development was on rank 1 or rank 2, and now it's going down. That means that the product itself, the drone itself, is already very sophisticated. you don't need a lot more energy, to put into further development. Of course you will, but the bulk of the work is done. Now it's about tweaking and refining the product. But what you can see is that staff development increased. So that means you need to train pilots. You need to train people maintaining the work, maintaining the drones. So this is now something we see global talent shortage, which is a problem, obviously. But you see that companies are now scaling their operation and they're looking for personnel, they're looking for staff. So this is another interesting factor of what's going to be in the future. And last but not least, we have a comparison of how people perceived the last 12 months and how they are going on, and what they think how the next 12 months will look like. And this is interesting. So we've been doing this for a couple of years now, as you can see, and every year we add another line to it. So this is the data from last year, because as I mentioned, our survey is currently not yet finished. It's preliminary data that I showed you. This is from last year, and I think this is very interesting because you can see that typically companies in the drone space say they are more optimistic for the next years to come than they are for the last 12 months. But what you also can see is that these bubbles converge. So the expectations are not that high anymore. They are more realistic based on what happened in the last years. So this converging is a reality check of the industry. So they are now in the phase of doing the hard work, the heavy lifting, to get the products out and to really facilitate drone operation. And last year, with the pandemic, being not that extreme anymore, you see a big uptick, 7.2%, 7.2 on a scale from 1 to 10, where people said they are very optimistic for the next years because automation of work increased. Remotization of work is not something strange anymore. We are doing this, So this is something that we see as a very good sign for the next years. And one more slide for coronavirus crisis. We asked a couple of things like how did companies experience the crisis? Was it more a chance or was it more a catastrophe? And as you can see, when you compare the 2020 answers with the 2021 answers, the overall average shifted to more a positive side of things. So people are more positive about the outcomes out of the crisis. So they see it more as a chance than a problem. And here are a few more details, how the virus impacted their business. And 54% said, or 52 in 2021 said that it will have a rather positive outcome, the whole crisis, for them instead of a negative. All of this data will be in a free publication. It will be available soon. We are now collecting the final answers. So if you are interested, feel free to download it. It's a free document available probably around July. And there you can find a lot more details about this. Yeah, and with this, I would like to close. Thank you so much for having me. It was a great honor to be here. And I'll be around if you have any questions. I'm very happy to answer them. And I'm really looking forward to Japan embracing this technology to move this forward. I think you have a fantastic basis here. There's great high tech from Japan. Maybe also look into international markets. I think this is something you can really look forward to and that you can be proud on yourself. Thank you so much. Arigato.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you.